Let's discuss the pros and cons of the 2021 Ford F-150. First, let's get the standards out of the way, right? Price point, $30,000 to $75,000. Why the big range? Well, the key to the F-150 lineup is versatility, right? So you can combine quite a few different trims with varying powertrains, and that's how you get that huge $45,000 range between 30 grand and 75 grand. So it really depends upon what you're looking for in your vehicle. That's how you're gonna, nail down that price, right? Miles per gallon, what are you looking at? You're looking at anywhere from 18 to 26 miles per gallon. And that again changes depending upon the powertrain and the trim level that you're getting. Speaking of powertrains, let's talk about the engines here. You got a 3.3 liter V6, which is going to kick out 290 horsepower. That, in my opinion, obviously, pretty much is going to underperform, right? We want to do something a little bit more interesting. You get a turbocharged 2.7 V6. That's going to kick out 60 more horsepower right around. I think we're kicking in at about 325 on that. V8's also available. It's a 5-liter. You get 400 horsepower out of the V8. A turbocharged 3-liter diesel, which is going to, drop down to the 250 horsepower. But hey, you got a diesel V6. It offers plenty of interesting things. Turbocharged 3.5 V6, you're going to get 400 horsepower. Now we're kicking it up. And of course, we've got a hybrid powertrain, right? Crazy. So new addition, you've got Ford's Power Boost. You basically have a 3.5 liter V6 and electric motor going on. They're saying 430 horsepower, which is interesting. So definitely a huge range of engine options. Seating, obviously, depending upon what your cab pick's going to be, anywhere from 3 to 6 people. So it can be a people hauler for you as well. So let's get more specific on the pros. So number one pro, well, our first pro, not necessarily number one, I think, that it was fully redesigned in 2021. Now, that comes with an asterisk, in my opinion. It still looks pretty similar to what you would expect out of Ford F-150, but they did essentially change over nearly every part in this vehicle. It just looks classic still. So, obviously, we mentioned with the engines and different tiers that the Ford F-150 has always been versatile, right? 2021 has 6 different trim levels, and when you combine that with the fact that you can also choose different engines within those trim levels, you can really find the truck you're looking for. I like that you're not just sort of stuck with a very specific powertrain, depending upon the trim level. That, in my opinion, Ford gets right, especially when it comes to these F-150s, is you can mix and match your engines without a problem. So the practicality, because of that, of the Ford F-150 is definitely hard to beat. You can't really beat that. You can really find that specific truck you're looking for. The available hybrid engine packs plenty of horsepower. Obviously, we already talked about that, but it also kicks out, 650 mile plus range, right? That's pretty sweet. You're probably looking at, well, I would say you're probably looking at a 26-gallon gas tank, somewhere around there. And that's where you're going to get sort of that top end, right around 24, 25, 26 miles per gallon when that hybrid engine kicks in. So, max towing capacity, depending upon whether or not you configure it appropriately, you're going to get about 14,000 pounds. That's the max when you max out based upon trim level and engine. Sweet. I don't know how many people are going to tow 14,000 pounds, but if you had to, we can do it with the Ford F-150. 10-speed automatic transmission is pretty silky smooth. It does kind of slow things down just a little bit, but I mean, it's a truck. You're not going out for races. And if you were, you probably would be looking at a Raptor or something instead, right? So because that's silky smooth, you're going to get a superior driving comfort when it comes to shifting, right? The hybrid engine is not a plug-in, thankfully, all right? I think that it's my own personal opinion, but plug-in, yes, it offers its own benefits, but I also feel like within the truck genre, it's just not as practical. So essentially, while you're driving, you're generating electricity for that hybrid motor. So basically making progress as you make progress. Um, Generally, it's a very quiet ride, but if you get your hands on that deep screaming V8, you'll definitely get entirely new and fun driving experience. That baby's loud and it's beautiful, and I love hearing that one go. So if you're looking for a nice V8 engine that's gonna really speak to you like a V8 engine should, you can make that happen. On the interior, we got the new infotainment system. It's pretty intuitive. You're going to have the option for a 12-inch infotainment by kicking it up a trim or two. And it also has a split screen capability to it, which I think is super intuitive, super fluid, and it can be incredibly useful. I think that split screens are going to have to be a thing of the future for nearly every infotainment system, right? Because it's safer, number one in my opinion, and it looks better, and you can really it's more usable, right? It's easier to switch between what you're looking for, and I don't know, just so much more intuitive. So definitely a plus for that 12-inch infotainment system. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard. Sweet, love that. In trims, you do also have power outlets available in the bed of the truck, especially with that hybrid motor. The generator mode is awesome for contractors, so anyone needing power on the go, and it really makes the Ford F-150 even more useful on an everyday basis. If you're on site and you don't have a power available, or you need to go hook up to a loud generator, just plug it in the back of your truck. Why not? If you got something quick you got to do, if you got to strip some boards real quick on the back tailgate, you can do that without really having to bust into anybody's power source. It's great. So definitely a plus there. And there's also an interesting new fold flat shifter, right? It folds flat and it creates a space to work on the fly. If you're a contractor, you're writing bids, or you need the extra space for a laptop, then it folds out of the way, and the fold-out armrest in the center folds over the top of it and creates a great flat working space. So that's the thing about these F-150s. They are truly used on the job, right? Used and abused and loved as we go. These Ford F-150s are sort of a second home, a second office, and things like that. Little small things make a huge difference. Also, speaking of fold flat, there's fold flat front seats, useful for long trips, camping, quick cat nap in the middle of the day if you're in between jobs. So these super comfortable seats, literally the front seats, fold all the way back, essentially making you this nice, soft, comfortable bed that, let's say you're on a long trip and you start to feel a little drowsy, and you know what? Safety, safety, safety. You can, find a spot to pull off, find a rest area to pull off. No need to go towards that hotel or motel or whatever it is along the way. You can take a quick few Z's, and then bing, bang, boom, you're back on the road. Like I said, also in between jobs, super useful. I don't know. Why do more cars not have completely full flat seats? I don't know. Let's talk about tailgates. So C-clamp holes on the tailgate, right? So we've got that. Provides more flexibility to get some more jobs done, especially if you're trying to clamp down some boards, rip a few boards, like I said, and just something quick, right? It's not going to be something you're going to use to build an entire house, right? But if you need something super quick, that's easy. That's all you need to do. No need to set anything up. The power tailgate is actually functional from the driver's seat, so you've got a button up there that you can do. Also, obviously, around back where you can make that fold down as well. There's also an available tailgate. You've got a pull-out step with a railing to make getting in and out of your truck a little easier. And it's also quick to fold out, quick to fold in. So you might actually use it. That being said, use and abuse those steps too much, and you could be facing some problems. There are definitely some situations where they become non-functional. So, but the fact that it exists and it's there and it's so easy to do is definitely a plus in my book. So, If you choose to get the panoramic, moonroof, sunroof, whatever you prefer to call it, you're a lucky person. Let me just say that. It completely opens up the interior of the cab, the super cab, and it will certainly impress any passengers sitting in the truck. I love the panoramic moonroof in this, and it's so great. It's so great. So, if you can get it, I would highly, highly recommend it. Back seats, of course, have tons of room. So if you're using this for a family hauler, you can make that happen. You can get some car seats back there if you want to without any problems. Also, even full-grown teenagers and on up can fit back there super comfortably. No worries about that. You also have outlets and ventilation back there. Center console, essentially ventilation that is right there for the passengers in the back seat. So no need to reach up and point your own driver's center ventilation back to the back so they get some air. They've already got it back there. No need to worry about that. You do also have it's like a zone lighting feature that can turn lights on around the entire truck. It's a feature that you just turn on the inside on the infotainment system, and if you lose anything outside, you'll be able to find it. Basically, you can turn on every light around the truck and be able to find whatever's fallen along the way. So super helpful if you're out camping, or if it's late at night, or if you just went out to your truck and you dropped a receipt and you need to pick it back up. That'll work out nicely for you as well. Also, back up front, pedal adjust. I love a good pedal adjust in a truck. Thank you very, very much. I'm not a tall person, but if you can get those pedals a little closer to me so it's a little more comfortable to do, then that's fine. That's great. Also, the wife is even shorter than I am, so I want her to be able to drive this truck, or at least move it, and these pedal adjusts definitely make a huge difference for her. So keep that in mind. Always look for the pedal adjust, especially on a truck. And there's also on the front dash, on the front, you've got quite a few hard buttons and scroll wheels for park assist, cameras, volume, and temperature control. You know me, I like the hard buttons. I'm a classic when it comes to that. Don't put that on any sort of screen for me. I just want something that I can push and know where it is at all times. So that's why I like the hard buttons. Now, let's talk a few cons. The first con was also a pro, right? The new redesign. It's not flashy, right? You're not really changing anything about the Ford F-150. However, I think that's the point, right? F-150 is basically the most popular truck in the world, and why would you break something, right? Why? We're not going to fix it by changing it too much. However, calling this a redesign is pretty funny. I think it's just a marketing tool because it looks basically the same. So keep that in mind. Other brands certainly feel a bit more luxurious and comfortable compared to the Ford F-150. But I mean, let's be honest, to most truck buyers, that's not a big deal, right? It really isn't. However, when you consider that you could be spending up to $75,000 on a truck, you kind of do want it to feel a little luxurious. So you're going to have to balance that feeling out, whether or not it's $75,000. Is it worth it as far as comfort and luxury? Can be questionable, but that's probably not where you're buying it anyways, right? Of course, I'm a stickler. I want blind spot monitoring to be standard. So, and on the Ford F-150, it's not. Along with that lane keep assist, they're not standard options. Instead, they become available on the second tier, the XLT, which is not that big of a deal. Obviously, it's just one step up. But, I like it to be standard because I think safety should be standard in every vehicle. And I think those two things certainly make a big difference. The digital gauge cluster for me, I know a lot of people love it, right? A lot of people are saying that this is one of the most beautiful gauge clusters out there. I don't know. It's a bit cartoonish for me. That's just me, especially when I think about I'm driving a truck and I want it to be practical and I want it to be a classic kind of a feel. I don't know. I like the analog look personally to a truck, but um, it's definitely a very dynamic gauge cluster. I would prefer to have more versatility with, the speedometer and things like that, but I don't know. That's just a con, but that's mostly my own preference on that. Maybe you love the digital look, and that's great for you. Also, let's be honest, it's not a completely smooth driving experience. You're definitely going to feel some road bumps. They're prominent and they're stiff, and it's gonna happen. But I mean, it also just kind of reminds you that you're driving a truck, right? You don't want to be lulled to sleep by floating on air, even though sometimes that's really what you want. So, not the smoothest experience as far as road wear and tear will go on that lower back. Um, as far as power, I mean, it's sufficient to get up and go and merge onto the highway. But most of the engines, I would like to see a bit more oomph. You know what I mean? So, but that's just what Ford's decided to do. And I'm not saying that it's lacking in really at all. But if I want to have a little bit of fun too, and it's going to be a little bit tougher to have as much fun as you'd like. Again, you're going to have to probably look at the Raptor if you want to have that much fun. Um, and rear exterior is definitely starting to look a little dated. That tailgate, the back tailgate, obviously it's got a lot of functional design components to it. But I mean, I don't know. It's looking a little dated. That's all I gotta say. Even with the refresh or the redesign, I should say. That's it. And last but not least, there are trims with carbon fiber, or fake, I should say, carbon fiber. Boo! Right? I cannot wait till the carbon fiber feel is gone, especially in a truck. I don't need it in a truck, and just staring at it just makes me unhappy. So I would get rid of all carbon fiber, all fake, all real, all the time. And again, that applies to any time I find it in this Ford F-150. But let's say this. The Ford F-150 is a leader for a reason. I love this truck. I really do. And I love the fact that it's super practical. I love the fact that I can create the truck of my dreams and I'm not stuck into what Ford has specifically designed within their trim levels, and there's no way to mix and match and change things up. So for that, Ford, I'll give you a round of applause, and I also give this Ford F-150 a round of applause as well.